Hello aspirants, do you know the difference between fundamental rights and other constitutional rights and legal rights? क्या आपको पता है कि मौलिक अधिकार और संवैधानिक अधिकार में क्या अंतर है? Welcome to lecture 4 of Vaad, Prativaad and Samvad series. I am Deepak Prakash. If you remember, in last lecture we discussed about constitutional amendment. We basically discussed about amendment of Indian Constitution under Article 368 Part 20. Keep one thing in your mind. एक चीज को दिमाग में रखना है. Like other discipline, polity itself is evolving. So, if you really want to achieve your dream of cracking UPSC, then you need updation. So in almost every lecture, सारे lecture में I'm adding case laws so that you can stay updated. In this lecture, today lecture number 4, I'm going to discuss about legal rights. I'm going to discuss about type of legal rights. I'm going to discuss about difference between fundamental rights and other rights. I'm also going to discuss nature of fundamental rights. Judicial review, it's a very important topic, very important, and the case laws associated with it. Towards the end, I'll end it with Benjamin Franklin quote, those things that hurt also instruct. Let me tell you one thing. Right is a very comprehensive terminology. In political science, when I'll be teaching PSIR, I'll be discussing right in a different context altogether. So there you will be reading about negative right, you will be reading about positive right. The beginning of rights can go back to Locke time. Liberalism. Locke gave three natural theory of natural rights: right to life, right to liberty, right to property. Then when modern liberals came, they talked about rights like Harold J. Lasky. He talked about rights are those conditions without which no man can seek at his best. Basically इसका मतलब ये है कि rights कुछ वैसे underlying condition हैं जिसके बिना एक आदमी अपना कैपेसिटी को ही रियलाइज नहीं कर सकता है. He cannot achieve efficiency in his life. But here in GS2, our concept of legal rights are circumscribed to the UPSC syllabus. What exactly UPSC is asking from the legal rights? As the name itself suggests, नाम से ही पता चलता है, legal rights are those rights that have been promised to you through some legal means, some statute, say constitution, say some law, and these rights, if violated, can be made enforceable by the court of law. अगर आपका ये राइट को किसी ने वायलेट किया, सो यू कैन गो डायरेक्टली टू द कोर्ट एंड गेट इट इन्फोर्स. से राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी, आपके प्रॉपर्टी को कोई इंक्रोच कर रहा है, समबडी इज इंक्रोचिंग ऑन योर प्रॉपर्टी, राइट? So you can go to the court of law, and court of law can make it enforceable in your favor, provided if that property belongs to you. Coming to type of rights. Legal rights have further been divided into two parts: constitutional rights and non-constitutional, or you can say extra constitutional rights. So within constitutional rights, again there are two types of division. One is fundamental right, one is other constitutional rights. So coming to fundamental rights का when I'll be discussing fundamental rights, I'll tell you more about it, but keep two things in mind. As the name itself suggests, fundamental rights are those rights which are fundamental for our existence. So एक तरह से मौलिक है, वो मूल है, it's a root of the rights. इसके बिना हम लोग अपनी आदमियत को ही रियलाइज नहीं कर सकते हैं. We cannot realize our own humanism. So just keep one thing in mind. The idea of fundamental right is based on recognizing a sphere of individual sovereignty and limiting the state sovereignty. यही आइडिया है. बेसिकली रिकॉग्निशन ऑफ एक इंडिविजुअल के सॉवरेनिटी को एंड टू लिमिट द स्टेट सॉवरेनिटी, यही बेसिक प्रेमाइसेस है अपॉन विच फंडामेंटल राइट्स आर बेस्ड. Coming to constitution, other constitutional rights, these are those rights which are also significant but not that much fundamental, like fundamental rights. Some example means in fundamental right, most of the example we know, the whole part 3 covers fundamental rights. Other constitutional rights like right to be taxed only by the authority of law. So कोई गवर्नमेंट अगर वो चाहती है कि आपको टैक्स करे, सो इट कैन ओनली टैक्स यू विद द ऑथोरिटी ऑफ लॉ. बिना ऑथोरिटी ऑफ लॉ के यू कैन नॉट बी टैक्स्ड. राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी, राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी इनिशियली वाज पार्ट ऑफ फंडामेंटल राइट, बट देयर वर वेरियस लीगल इश्यूज दैट अरोज बिटवीन 1978 and 1950. So between 1950 to 1978, due to right to property, in fact most of the benchmark cases including IC Golaknath case, Kesvananda Bharati case, they all dealt with, somehow they were closely connected with this right to property. So I'll be discussing what exactly happened. Then freedom of trade, commerce, Article 301, this is also other constitutional right. Right to universal suffrage, Article 325, right to adult suffrage, 326. So one thing keep in your mind, all fundamental rights are constitutional rights, but all constitutional rights are not fundamental right. एक एक चीज को ढंग से समझना है कि सारे फंडामेंटल राइट्स जो हैं दे आर पार्ट ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट्स, बट ऑल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट्स आर नॉट पार्ट ऑफ फंडामेंटल राइट. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट इज अ ब्रॉडर टर्मिनोलॉजी. नाउ कमिंग टू एक्स्ट्रा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट्स, दीज आर दोज राइट्स which are given to us by some legal statute other than constitution. There are many rights that have been given to us, say NG-NREGA, right to work. So government has promised us 100 days of unskilled work under right to work. Labor rights, right to get your contract enforced. Consumer rights, एक कंज्यूमर के पास राइट होता है, दोज आर ऑल्सो एक्स्ट्रा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट्स. सो नाउ अब एक क्वेश्चन ये दिमाग में आना चाहिए, व्हाट हैपेंस व्हेन अ फंडामेंटल राइट्स बिकम पार्ट ऑफ अदर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट्स. सो बेसिकली एक फंडामेंटल राइट को उठाकर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में किसी और पार्ट में डाल दिया गया अदर देन पार्ट 3, तो उसका क्या असर होगा. लाइक इट हैपेंड विद राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी आर्टिकल, मीन्स आर्टिकल इट वाज इनिशियली पार्ट ऑफ आर्टिकल 31. So later on it was made the part of article 300A through 44th Constitutional Amendment Act when it abolished right to property as a fundamental right. See, basically when you shift fundamental right to the other constitutional right, basically government is trying to avoid the arms which a citizen possesses when his or her fundamental rights get violated. So you are being deprived of that arm which you have in your arsenal. I am giving you one example. When right to property was part of fundamental right, you could have directly gone to Supreme Court under Article 32, writ jurisdiction. वहाँ पे you could have asked Supreme Court that your right of to property is getting violated, and Supreme Court would have restored it. But now since it has been made part of other constitutional right, still you have the legal remedy available, but you cannot come directly to Supreme Court. You will have to go to High Court under Article 226 or to subordinate court. So that is the basic difference. If a fundamental right moves from fundamental right to other constitutional right, your remedy that is under Article 32 that basically gets affected. You cannot directly now approach the Supreme Court. Now one more value addition I would do, which you would not find anywhere. The constitutionality of the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act was challenged through a PIL in Sanjeev Agrawal versus Union of India in 2009. अब इसके बारे में हिस्ट्री बताता हूँ. Sanjeev Agrawal filed a PIL in 2009 after IR Silho case. Two premises he used. संजीव अग्रवाल ने दो premise यूज किया. उसने बोला कि since 44th Constitutional Amendment Act abolished right to property, but right to property was part of Article 19 also, other than Article 31. So, and Article 19 has been declared as the basic structure of the Constitution. So, whatever government did through 44th Constitutional Amendment Act, basically it violated the basic structure, and hence it should be moved again from other constitutional right to fundamental right section. So it should be made again fundamental right. Supreme Court rejected that petition, saying two things. First, Supreme Court said that Sanjeev Agrawal's own right to property has never been violated. It's a public interest litigation. And second is, if we decide to entertain the petition, it is going to reopening of too many constitutionally settled principles, which is going to cause too much issues when it comes to governance. So Supreme Court decided not to entertain the petition, dismiss the petition in its very nascent stage. So currently, right to property is a part of other constitutional right, Article 300A. Coming to next section, nature of fundamental rights. These rights are enjoyed by individual. Some of these rights are given to citizens, like I'm giving you one example, like 15, 16, 19, 29, 30. Some rights are even given to foreigner. ये तो बेसिक्स है, इतना समझना है कि कुछ राइट्स जो हैं that would be equally applicable for foreigner as well as citizen, like right to life, protection against exploitation. All these rights are required for basic existence. So these rights have also been given to foreigner, and some rights have even given to corporate legal body. So even some corporations enjoy the status of some fundamental rights. Third is, these rights are justiciable rights. Again, I told you in the very beginning that if your fundamental rights are violated, you can directly go to court of law to get it enforced. So these are justiciable rights. These rights cannot be violated other than the restrictions that have been provided. Then most of these rights are enforceable against the state except three rights: right against untouchability, right against exploitation, and right to freedom of movement, which can be enforceable against the state as well as even individual. An individual cannot do untouchability. It's not the state who was practicing untouchability. So it can be enforced even against an individual. They further act as limitation upon the power of the state. What does it mean? See, one of the basic reason for the emergence of liberal state was to curb the authoritarian bent of a state. They wanted to curb the authoritarian power inherent in the state. अगर आपको लॉर्ड एक्टन का वो एफोरिज्म याद होगा, like power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So same thing is applicable over here. So basically they aim to prevent the state from becoming authoritarian. So उनका काम ही है कि एक स्टेट को ऑथोरिटेरियन नहीं होने देना है. Further, means fundamental rights are negative obligations on the state. they have been worded negatively because it restrains the state from taking certain action that violate our fundamental rights. And more importantly, they are not absolute but qualified. अभी जब जेएस मिल के बारे में कभी पढ़ोगे, I'm saying it for the PSIR in general. So J.S. Mill, or even there were too many other political scientists, they have talked about your right ends where someone else right starts. तुम्हारा जो अधिकार है वहाँ खत्म होता है जहाँ दूसरे का अधिकार शुरू होता है. So there cannot be absolute right. You need to have certain limitations. So there is nothing called absolute right. There are certain restrictions which can be imposed on your rights, say for the sovereignty of India, against contempt of court, defamation. You cannot defend someone's reputation, because that guy also possesses the right to have dignity. A state can also discriminate you in order to advance the social and economically backward or educationally backward sections of the society. For SCs, for women, for children, for STs. So these are not absolute rights. These are qualified rights. So further, restrictions imposed by the state must be reasonable and fair. And who decides whether the restrictions that have been imposed by the state is reasonable or fair or not? It is the work of judiciary. So who decides? It is the work of judiciary. Judiciary decides whether the restrictions are reasonable or unfair. And from here we get the concept of judicial review. So coming to judicial review, अभी judicial review start करने वाले हैं, but this concept, because a state makes law, तो a state जब law बनाता है तो whether it is fair or unfair, who would decide? It's the judiciary that would decide. अगर स्टेट को ही भी ये काम मिल जाए, देन देयर वुड बी कन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट. स्टेट ही लॉ बना रहा है और बोलेगा कि अरे मेरा लॉ गलत है, ये तो संभव है नहीं. सो यू नीड सम अदर बॉडी. सो देयर इज अ कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ थ्योरी ऑफ सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर ऑफ मॉन्टेस्क्यू, विच विल बी डिस्कसिंग व्हेन आई विल डिस्कस PSIR टॉपिक्स. ओके, नाउ कमिंग टू जुडिशियल रिव्यू. जुडिशियल रिव्यू का भी जो हिस्ट्री है दैट इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. अभी एक बेसिक थिंग डेमोक्रेसी में बोला जाता है. इट इज ऑफन सेड दैट कि लेजिस्लेचर एंड एग्जीक्यूटिव दे आर द स्वॉर्ड, तलवार हैं, बट जुडिशियरी इज द शील्ड, दे प्रोटेक्ट यू. एंड जुडिशियल रिव्यू हैज बीन गिवन एज अ पावर, इट हैज बीन गिवन टू जुडिशियरी टू सपोर्ट यू, टू प्रोटेक्ट यू फ्रॉम द ऑनस्लॉट ऑफ द स्टेट. सो ये केस भी बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है. मारवरी वर्सेस मेडिसन 1803. उस समय जॉन एडम्स एंड थॉमस जेफरसन के बीच कंटेस्ट था प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शन का. सो अ सेटल्ड प्रिंसिपल रीच टू द US सुप्रीम कोर्ट एंड सुप्रीम कोर्ट गेव जजमेंट दैट इफ एनी फेडरल प्रोविजंस even violate the constitution, it can be struck down by the judiciary. So judiciary can struck down any of the law made by a state or union, center, federal government or the provincial government. So concept judicial review का वहाँ से आया था. Now coming back to India. So judicial review is a power of higher judiciary. अभी कॉन्सेप्ट को अच्छे से समझते हैं कि इट इज अ पावर ऑफ हायर जुडिशरी, से सुप्रीम कोर्ट और हाई कोर्ट, टू डिक्लेयर अ लॉ मेड बाय द स्टेट एज अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल एंड void if a law is inconsistent with वन और मोर ऑफ द प्रोविजंस ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। ये हायर जुडिशरी के पास पावर है। टू द एक्सटेंट ऑफ सच इनकंसिस्टेंसी, हायर जुडिशरी के पास पावर है कि एक लॉ जो स्टेट बनाया वो अगर किसी प्रोविजंस ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के अगेंस्ट है, देन हायर जुडिशरी कैन डिक्लेयर इट अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल टू द एक्सटेंट ऑफ इनकंसिस्टेंसी। अब जैसे 97th कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट एक्ट, सुप्रीम कोर्ट डिड नॉट स्टक इट डाउन fully, rather it did it partially in Rajendra Shah case versus Union of India in 2021, or NJAC case, Supreme Court decided to stuck it down on the ground of unconstitutionality. So when judiciary declares a law as unconstitutional, generally it does not suggest any alternatives. कोई अल्टरनेटिव नहीं देता है। लाइक बेस्ट एग्जांपल इज एनजेएसी एक्ट, और आपको याद होगा श्रेया सिंगल वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया, सेक्शन 66A वाज डिक्लेयर्ड अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल, इनवैलिडेटेड बाय द सुप्रीम कोर्ट। सो व्हेन सुप्रीम कोर्ट through judicial review, when it declared it unconstitutional, they do not suggest an alternative. Generally they do not suggest an alternative. They leave it on the wisdom of legislature or executive to decide further, but they simply stuck down that law which they consider as unconstitutional. And this power of judicial review can be exercised against both legislative and executive action. So अगर executive action से भी कोई order आया which Supreme Court consider as violative of say fundamental right, then it can be struck down. अभी मैं एक एग्जांपल दे रहा हूं, IT intermediary rules का कुछ provisions have been challenged in Bombay High Court. Further, judicial review is implicit in the writ jurisdiction under Article 32 and 226 of the Indian Constitution, but it has been explicitly provided in Article 13 sub clause 2. वहाँ पे explicitly it has been given. There are too many constitutional provisions that deal with judicial review. अभी है Article 13, 32, 131, 132, 133, 134, 135, 136, 142, 143, 226, 227, 246, 252, 251, 372, where judicial review of pre-constitutional law can be done. तो अभी जुडिशियल रिव्यू जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट या कोई भी हाई कोर्ट करता है, सो दे फॉलो जनरली 3 प्रिंसिपल्स, कीप दैट इन माइंड। ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। अगर आपके पास पेपर है, या अगर पेपर है तो प्लीज जॉट इट डाउन, अदरवाइज गो एंड टेक अ A4 sheet and write it down. There are 3 principles which judiciary usually use when they apply judicial review. First, कोई भी लॉ that has been made by a state, एक लॉ बनाया गया स्टेट के द्वारा, एंड इफ इट इज केपेबल ऑफ 2 इंटरप्रिटेशन, से one interpretation is intra vires to the constitution and the other interpretation is ultra vires to the constitution. एक इंटरप्रिटेशन जो है वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन प्रिंसिपल को फॉलो कर रहा है, और दूसरा इंटरप्रिटेशन जो है वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रिंसिपल के अगेंस्ट जा रहा है. Then the court shall give effect to the interpretation which is constitutionally, which is intra vires to the constitution, which is constitutionally valid, which conform to the constitutional standard, and reject the other interpretation. But when any law is capable of only one interpretation, एक law है जिसका बस एक interpretation हो रहा है which is ultra vires to the constitution, जो constitutional principles के against जा रहा है, then judiciary can declare it unconstitutional, null and void. समझ में आया? I think you all have understood. Coming to second principle, generally, ordinarily, the court shall not apply the principle of judicial review when a law has not been made enforceable. अगर law को enforceable अभी तक नहीं किया गया है, तब तक generally court does not use judicial review. The term here is ordinarily. Supreme Court or High Court has power even to struck down a law that have not been brought into enforcement. But ordinarily Supreme Court or High Court doesn't do that. And ordinarily the court shall not apply judicial review suo motu, on its own. खुद से generally court does not apply judicial review. These are the three principles which judiciary keeps in mind while using judicial review. Coming to a scope. A scope अभी मैंने पीछे भी डिस्कस किया था. It can be used against both executive and legislative action. So a scope is legislative action के खिलाफ भी यूज किया जा सकता है और executive action on 3 ground. If it infringes fundamental right, अगर हमारे fundamental right को ये violate कर रहा है, court can use it. If it infringes any of the constitutional principles, then also it can be done. And third, if it is outside the competence of an authority which has made that law. This is called doctrine of colorable legislation. Okay, doctrine of colored legislation, sorry. So then also Supreme Court can or High Court can use and struck it down. Significance of judicial review. Judicial review is very significant because it helps in maintenance of supremacy of constitution, rule of law, separation of power. Then the most importantly, it allows the judiciary to limit or not allow the executive or legislature to encroach upon its own power. Judicial review actually judiciary के हक में पावर देता है कि वो एग्जीक्यूटिव और लेजिस्लेचर को उसके पावर को इंक्रोच ना करने दे. इट ऑल्सो हेल्प्स इन मेंटेनेंस ऑफ फेडरलिज्म, प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ फंडामेंटल राइट्स ऑफ अस. फंडामेंटल राइट could have made no sense if that chapter would not have contained Article 32. कोई सेंस ही नहीं होता अगर फंडामेंटल राइट could not have been restored even by the higher court, highest court of this land. So coming to case law, अभी समझ में I think you all have gotten the basic crux of judicial review. Case laws, as I am telling again and again, it's very significant. हर बार UPSC they have been asking question directly from case laws. Case laws cannot be avoided. हमेशा ध्यान रखो, कोई भी मेंस का आंसर लिखना है, if you know, then please write case laws. It is going to fetch 1 extra marks for you, and 1 marks in each question means 20 marks in GS2. So you'll have leverage over other aspirant. So हमेशा केस लॉज को ढंग से करना है. कमिंग टू जुडिशियल रिव्यू, AK गोपालन केस 1950 का केस था. इसमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट upheld the procedure established by law. So they said judicial review must follow procedure established by law. जब मैं आर्टिकल 21 डिस्कस करूंगा, आई विल ऑल्सो बी डिस्कसिंग द डिफरेंसेज बिटवीन ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ एंड प्रोसीजर इस्टेब्लिश्ड बाय लॉ. अभी बेसिक समझा देता हूँ. प्रोसीजर इस्टेब्लिश्ड बाय लॉ मीन्स बेसिकली मीन्स जुडिशरी कैन ओनली सी if while passing a law if the proper procedure has been followed or not. They would not enter into the merit of the law, whether the law is fair or reasonable or not. In Menka Gandhi case, Supreme Court gave the idea of due process of law, which we'll be discussing when I'll discuss Article 21. Then is संकरी प्रसाद केस. ये मैंने पहले ही अभी डिस्कस किया था पिछले ही लेक्चर में. संकरी प्रसाद केस, आई थिंक यू ऑल आर अवेयर, फर्स्ट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट एक्ट वाज चैलेंज्ड and Supreme Court using its power of judicial review said make a distinction between ordinary law and law through amendment of the Indian Constitution. Under Article 368 they say the term law under Article 13 sub clause 2 does not mean or incorporate the amendment done to this constitution under Article 368. So here law means simple law, not the constitutional amendment acts. The Supreme Court again followed the same principle of judicial review in 7th Constitutional Amendment Act in Sajjan Singh case. But in IC Golaknath case, Supreme Court changed its stance. There the Supreme Court overruled Sankri Prasad. यहाँ पे Supreme Court said that the fundamental rights cannot be abridged even by Constitutional Amendment Act because the term law mentioned in Article 13 subclause 2 also incorporate Constitutional Amendment. अभी मैंने पूरा हिस्ट्री आपको बताया था कि देन गवर्नमेंट रिस्पॉन्डेड इन लेक्चर 3. अगर आपने नहीं देखा है गो बैक एंड वॉच लेक्चर 3. वहाँ पूरा केस लॉ का मैंने हिस्ट्री बताया है कि कैसे चंपकई दोराई राजन, शंकरी प्रसाद, सज्जन कुमार, देन came IC Golaknath and then Keswananda Bharati case where 24th, 25th and 29th Constitutional Amendment Act was challenged. वहाँ पे Supreme Court said judicial review is the basic feature of the Constitution. It cannot be taken away even by the Parliament. So Parliament, despite having amending power of the Constitution, they cannot take away some of the basic features of this Constitution, and judicial review is one of such basic features. Separation of power is one such basic feature. Then again 39th Constitutional Amendment Act 329A was challenged in Indira Gandhi case. Supreme Court struck it down unconstitutional, saying judicial review is a basic feature. Free and fair election is basic feature. 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act was challenged in Minerva Mill case, especially Article 368 Clause 4, Subclause 4 and Subclause 5, which took away judicial review power. Supreme Court struck it down, saying it is unconstitutional because judicial review is basic feature. Same happened in L. Chandra Kumar. Say tribunals are not substitute of High Court, rather they complement High Courts, and pronouncement of tribunals are subjected to review by judiciary through their division bench. Then again 9th schedule case, that was IR Silho case. Supreme Court said judicial review is basic feature and there cannot be a blanket immunity on law that have been made the part of 9th schedule. Those laws that affect the basic structure of the Constitution. So say fundamental rights, affecting fundamental rights under Article 14, 15, 19, 21, they can be reviewed by judiciary using its judicial review power. Those cannot be taken away. Then after IR Silho case come most important 4 judges case, which is also called NJAC case. Supreme Court struck down 99th Constitutional Amendment Act, saying it is unconstitutional. So case laws are very important. Judicial review में जो important cases हैं, I just pointed it out. Try to remember those cases in a proper chronology और crux सबका समझ लेना है. They are going to help you a lot. Coming to last section, this quotation of Benjamin Franklin can be used even in ethics, in your essay paper, as well as to boost your confidence and to get some extrinsic motivation. Benjamin Franklin once said, "Those things that hurt instruct." It's a very comprehensive quotation. Basically, it implies whatever things hurt you in your life, they also leave certain messages for you, for your future. So things which you have done as mistake, you should ideally learn from them and do not commit it in the future. I'm giving you one example from an aspirant life, UPSC aspirant life. The very purpose of solving mock test is to understand your mistakes, to understand your weakness. So when we get low marks in mock, we actually feel depressed. हमें लगता है अरे यार क्या हो गया, इतना कम नंबर आ रहा है, इतना मेहनत कर रहे हैं. बट एट द सेम टाइम इट प्रोवाइड्स अस एन अपॉर्चुनिटी टू अंडरस्टैंड द वीकनेस स्टिल प्रेजेंट इन अस. अभी भी क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम है हमारे प्रिपरेशन में, व्हाट आर द गैप्स दैट हैव बीन लेफ्ट, एक्चुअली इट टेल्स यू. It helps you in identifying those gaps, and then you can, in the subsequent stage, you can fill that gap. So basically the aim was to tell you that whatever mistakes you have committed, forget about it. C. Lewis is a very important philosopher. He often says that I'm saying it for those aspirants who have already exhausted their 2 or 3 attempts and they are still complaining about like what I should do in the future. It is for you. You cannot start from the beginning now. Whatever has happened. But wherever you are, you can start from there and still achieve whatever you wanted to achieve. Life doesn't come to an end if you have failed in your first attempt, if you have failed in your second attempt. Try harder, because these 2 failed attempts have given you 2 extra lessons which a successful candidate does not have. Now you know at least 2 ways to avoid such mistakes in future, which a candidate who has just started may not be knowing. So you have gotten 2 important life lessons in your arsenal now. So keep in your mind, the things that hurt also instruct. हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ मैसेज देकर जाएगा, and those messages are not worthless but they are invaluable lessons for you. Keep that in mind. Going to end my lecture. In next lecture I'll be most probably talking about amendability of the fundamental right. Article 13 also will be discussing, and we'll start with right to equality. Please do like and subscribe so that you do not miss an important lecture. Thank you. Take care. Happy learning.